So you see the recording in two parts, okay? Because I stopped it. Okay, so we discussed evaluation attributes of transportation, which was ubiquity, mobility, and efficiency. In table 1.1 of the book, you will find other examples how one mode is more ubiquitous or mobile or efficient than others. Okay, a hierarchy of the transportation system and its classification. If you look at the figure on the right hand side of the slide, you will see the hierarchy. Okay, hierarchy means in one trip you are making different movement, different levels of movement. Okay, we call them different levels of movement. Okay, so on the left hand side you see primary movement, transition, distribution, collection, access, and terminal. These are the six movement levels which can be in a trip. Okay, which can be in a trip. Okay, primary movement is a movement which takes you from one area to the other area. So it's mainly from is usually done from a main highway. Okay, for example, Sheikh Isa bin Salman highway. Okay, or Sheikh Salman highway. You want to go from Zallaq to Isa town. This is the main highway. This is so the movement which you will make on this highway in your trip will be the primary movement. Okay, then you want to enter the Isa town area. So the point where you will make the entry to the Isa town area, that will be your transition. Okay, so it may be a ramp or an intersection, that will be the transition level of movement. Then you move within the area. So from that entry point, the highway which you will take or the street which you will take will be the distribution level of your movement. The distribution level. Now you are going inside the area. Okay, so while you are going or you are at the highway at a road which will take you to different places of the same area, that is distribution. Okay, then you go further inside the area towards the location where you want, that is the collection part, and that can be a local street. Okay, then from that local street you will go to another local street which is directly in front of your facility. For example, directly in front of your office door, that is the access level. Access level is when you are about to reach the facility. And terminal, like we said, garage, parking lot, parking facility, that is the terminal. So in one trip you can have six different levels of movement. Okay, these six different levels of movement usually. Okay, obviously I'm going to store a cold store near my house. These six levels will not be there. Okay, so they are usually there in a trip of some length. If the trip length is significant, then you will find these levels. Okay, then you have functional classification of highways. Functional classification. Functional means on the function of the highway, on the basis of purpose of the highway. Purpose of the highway. Now we have covered functional classification many times. Even the Muhammad and Safa who have not taken advanced traffic engineering, you must have done it in traffic engineering and highway engineering. Okay, so I'm just quickly going through it. So in rural highways, you can see the classification at the bottom with the legends. Okay, the last three legends: arterials, collectors, and local streets. These are the three main functional classes of highways. Three main functional types of highways. Or functional types of highways. So the highway which connects major cities, you can see the dotted line connecting major cities, that is an arterial. Okay, the highway which connects an arterial to minor cities or towns or villages, that is a collector. You can see it. I'm talking about the rural network. Okay, rural network, the network which is outside the cities. And then within the village or the town, the streets which you have are known as local streets. Okay, so this is in the rural area. City, major city to another major city is arterial. Arterial to towns or villages, or towns or villages to each other, a collector, and then within the town or villages we have local streets. This is now the urban highway network, the urban classification. So again you can see the types at the bottom with the legend: arterial, collector, and local. Same types, but now it's in an urban area, so their function will change. For example, arterial of an urban street of an urban area, it's not going from one city to another city. It is basically connecting different parts of the city, and these are the longest highways in the city, in the urban area. Okay, the longest ones. Then the highways which connect arterials to different areas, different locations within the urban area are collectors. You can see the dotted lines. Okay. One more thing is arterials connect activity centers. They call them activity centers. So these areas, you will see the shaded areas. These are called as activity centers. Okay. So these areas are the areas which where you have commercial and other activities happening. Okay. So the arterials connect one activity center to another activity center. Collector streets connect the arterial to other locations in the city, and then the road which takes the traffic from collector and distributes it to each and every house and office and shop, that is the local street. Okay. So the main three types: arterial, collector, local street, but their function is different in different types of locations. Now, there are two main functions of the highways. There are two main functions of the highways on the basis of which we have made this classification. Two main functions are mobility and land access or accessibility. Mobility and accessibility, or mobility and land access. So I already defined these two things earlier, right? Mobility means amount of traffic and the speed of traffic, and accessibility is ubiquity. The thing which I said as ubiquity, that is land access. Okay. So when you increase mobility, accessibility decreases. You can see it in this slide on the right hand side of the slide. The picture is showing you this particular phenomena. Mobility is high here. You can see the portion of mobility is high and the portion of accessibility is very low. As you keep moving downwards, portion of mobility decreases, accessibility increases. Why? As you are connecting more areas, more lands, then the speed of traffic and the amount of traffic the highway can carry will be lower. Okay, for example, if I want to connect all the parking garages in a street to the street, I want to give entrance to the street from all the parking garages. Okay, then what will happen? On that street, I have to keep a very low speed, and obviously the traffic flow will not be fast, or it will not be high as well. Okay, but if I say on this street, no access to any land, so any car which is on that street will move very fast, and then you can process higher flow rate, higher flow of cars or vehicles. So accessibility is inversely proportional to mobility. Okay, so arterials have highest mobility and lowest accessibility, and the examples of arterials in Bahrain can be Sheikh Isa bin Salman Highway, Sheikh Khalifa bin Salman Highway. Then we have collector roads like 16 December Highway, Istiqlal Highway. I don't know. Maybe you can give some examples from your areas. And local streets are, the streets which are connected to your garages and parking lots. These are local streets. Okay. So in a particular highway network, in a particular urban area, you must have all these types of highways in the right proportion. The system must be balanced. All highways cannot be arterials, they cannot be collectors, and they cannot be local roads. You have to have them in a mix, and that mix should be of the right proportion. Okay, what do I mean by that? Let me show you. So you see the proportion of highways and their carrying capacity. The carrying capacity. If you look at the picture on the left hand side, so you have the road miles on the x-axis, and you have the vehicle miles on the y-axis. Vehicle miles means amount of traffic into the length of the highway. Amount of traffic into the length of the highway. Now local streets, okay, local streets are more in number, but the traffic on them is very low. Local street, and this chart is cumulative. Okay, this chart is cumulative. So you see the local roads on the top side, but you see the shaded portion which is contributed by the local roads is very low. Okay, so majority of this cumulative value is contributed by what? Arterials. So you see the length of arterial, the road miles, is very low. Okay, almost it's 10%, but the amount of traffic it is carrying is 73%. So 8% highways are carrying 73% traffic. Okay, that is the mix, because they are low in number, but their carrying capacity is more. Their carrying capacity is more. It's like, you know, you have a water tank. You have a water tank that can carry 100 gallons, and you have a glass of water. Okay, so if I put 10 glasses of water in front of you, those 10 glasses of water may not even carry 1 gallon, but that 1 gallon, that one tank of water will carry 100 gallons of water. So this is the same thing here. These arterials are like tanks, water tanks. Okay, and the local roads are like water glasses. So their number is high, but the amount of traffic they are carrying is very low. So their number is, you can see from here to here, it's what is this? How much is this? So it's more than 60%, 67%, sorry. 67% of the highways are local roads, but the amount of traffic they carry is only 8%. Okay, and collectors are somewhere in between. 33% miles of road, and they are carrying like how much? 25% to 90%, like 19% of traffic. Okay, so collectors are in the middle. Arterials carry majority of the traffic. Okay, and but they are small in number, like small in terms of their proportion in the highway system. And then you see the numbers on the right hand side of the image as well. Okay, so traffic volume carried by each type of highway and the miles. So 5% arterials carrying 50% traffic, 10% arterials carrying 25% traffic. This is principal arterial, minor arterial. Okay, and collector roads only 10%, carrying 5% of traffic, and local roads are 75% and they only carry 20%. Okay, so this is from an actual area in USA, and this is like typical. This is general. The table is showing a typical or general distribution, and the one on the left hand side is from a specific area. Okay, so this is more practical. Okay, now we said earlier that the choice of mode depends upon speed and time and so many things. It also depends upon your distance. Okay, it also depends upon your distance. Okay, as your distance of travel increases, you will go for a mode with high speed. For example, if I want to travel from here to America, okay, it's a distance of thousands of miles, so I will go by a aircraft and not go by a car. Most of us will not go by a car. Okay, so you see this line is basically the acceleration, speed upon distance. This line is for the acceleration. Okay, so usually you select the vehicles on the basis of the acceleration. So if you have a very short distance, then you will walk. Okay, and if you have a longer distance, then you will go for modes with higher speed. Okay, but one thing you have to keep in mind, on this side you see the public transport options, on this side you see the private options basically. Okay, so if you are going by car, public transport, you may have to add 10% of waiting time. If you are going by airplane, then you may have to add maybe 1.5 hours of waiting time and so on. Okay, so this is for two different years. Okay, this is according to the speeds which were in 1975. This is according to the speed of 2000. Okay, but the point which it is trying to show here is your mode of transport will change according to the speed and the distance. Distance increases, you will go for higher speed modes. Okay, so you will not walk for 5 miles, even if you have time. Okay, you will not walk for 5 miles. It will take you like 1.5 hours. Okay, so you will go for a higher speed mode. Okay, even by walking, people have traveled throughout the world, right? People make Guinness World Record by walking and jumping and whatnot. Okay, but you as a regular traveler will not opt for it. Okay, then this graph is showing transportation demand and effect on transportation demand of distance, time, and speed. So the same thing which I showed you earlier. So you can again see the same modes here. Okay, so this line is reasonable utilization. If the mode is utilized reasonably, reasonably means what is the general perception. And if you go for optimum utilization, then you can utilize the same mode up to this much demand. So demand like in terms of number of trips. Okay. So walking distance up to 0.5 kilometer, usually this much demand is done by walking. But if people are willing to be more flexible in walking, or they are willing to walk more, then they can do up to this much demand by walking. They can do up to this much trips by walking. Okay, but in many times, most of the people, even for 0.5 kilometers, they may not walk. Okay, and same thing with the rest of them. And as you can see, as the distance keeps on increasing, the gap keeps on reducing. The gap keeps on reducing. Now, one thing which you can see here, this is walking, then public transport, scooter, car, and so on. Okay, so the public, then walking, public transport, and then you come to private transport. So this is what we call as transportation gap. Transportation gap. Gap between, a huge gap between lower people of lower income group and upper income group. This is a gap between them. Okay, and as transportation planner, we need to bring this gap as narrow as possible. Okay, so again the same thing, distance, time, and the speed, theoretical speed. Obviously we don't know the actual speed, it can differ, and then on the basis of that, the choice of transportation mode. Okay, so the three figures which I have showed you, they are showing you choice of transportation on the basis of distance, time, and speed. But you get the basic concept. For lower distance, walking. For somewhat higher distance, maybe public transport, and for even higher distance, you will go for private transport. And as the distance keeps on increasing, then you go for higher speed modes like airplanes and jets and so on. Okay, for filling the transportation gap, I told you there is a transportation gap between the lower income group and the upper income group of the society. Okay, we need to fill it. Like, it should not be that every low income person is traveling, is walking or taking a public transport, and every high income person is taking or going by car. It should not be like this. It should be a mix. This is what we call as filling transportation gaps. Okay, so for filling transportation gap, we have this algorithm or this process. Okay, so for filling the transportation gap, we need some non-information things, for example, energy, commodity, things which are physical. So we need to provide them in the right amount. The bus system, the energy prices, they have to be settled and so on. Then there is information flow. Okay, things which are artificial or virtual information flow. For example, we have now artificial intelligence or media. Okay, so you can drop down the number of trips. The things which I called earlier as quasi transport. So this is a quasi transport. Okay, so you can minimize some of the trips which are taken by higher income group or lower income group by using artificial intelligence or digital means. Okay, and then we have human trips which are made actually. Okay, and you can educate people to use public transport. You can educate people to suggest to them which is the best mode of their transportation, because I may be using a car, but there may be other modes available for me which I don't know about. Okay, so information, you provide them information so that human trips are reduced or they are mixed. Okay, again, a very short exercise. It will just take 2 minutes. Okay, go to this website. Okay, let me open it, or let me share Don't go anywhere. I will give you a QR code. You click on that and it will take you to the website. Okay, so click scan this QR code. It will take you to a website. On this website, you will be asked to give 3 points about what are the important problems of the transportation system. Any 3 points which come to your mind. Okay, and later on I will share the findings with you. So the QR code is in the chat. Scan it. It will take you to the website. You will see this question, and you can give 3 answers, and you can do it multiple times as well. So if you feel 3 is not a good enough number, you can give another answer to the same question. Do it one time, 3 responses, then do it another time to give 3 more responses. Okay, or if you want, if you feel one factor is more important, you can write it 3 times as well. Okay, this is like a rating system. If you feel, for example, pollution is more important, write it 3 times and write the other factors the next time. No problem. Go ahead. You have to write 3 problems related to transportation systems. Did you start yet?
Doctor, on the website?
Yeah, in the website, on the website. Yeah, scan the QR code. It will take you to the website. And there you write the 3 answers. And like I said, if you feel one factor is more important, you can write it multiple times. Scan the QR code, the code which I sent you in the chat. Three problems related to transportation systems or the field of transportation or transportation in general. 3 problems. These are just small activities, okay? You don't have to think too much about it. I just whatever comes into your mind. Okay, so you see that. Many types of users sharing, congestion, safety issues, pedestrian. So congestion is also there, delay due to congestion. Safety is also there. Okay. 2 people have voted till now. What about the other 2?
Doctor, I'm still trying to find a way to open the link because I cannot scan it.
You cannot scan it. Go to this. You see this? Go to this website. and put this code
8112
380.
230. 1 minute.
Go to menti.com and this.
I put the link already.
Okay, shukran. حبيبي. Doctor, you want us to write questions or just
No, just the 3 points with this. Write it in the website, was.
words or questions?
No, just words.
Okay.
Like safety issues, pedestrians, something like this. Safa, you can also write. I think your manager will, be kind enough to let you write. Okay, no lane for bicycles, congestion. So congestion is the main issue, right? Congestion is the main issue. I think all 3 of you have written it down. That's why it's so big. Okay, and then you see another point, delay due to congestion. So congestion is the main issue. Second main issue is safety. Okay, thank you for participating. Let us move on. Now let us see the list which is given in the book. So you see congestion, safety. So you are thinking what the Kishti and Lal were thinking at that time. Okay, congestion and accidents, top 2 reasons. Okay, insufficient use of public transportation, like we have in case of Bahrain and many other countries. Public transportation is there, but people are not willing to use it. Issues and concerns of bicyclists and pedestrians, again something which you mentioned and it is written there as well. Okay, crimes on open streets. Alhamdulillah, Bahrain does not have that problem, but in Pakistan, in even in USA, India, many other countries, crimes on open streets very common. Okay, so and they are especially targeted. The bicyclists and pedestrians are special targets of them. Okay, even my father lost mobile phone. My friend has lost his mobile phone, snatched away. Noise and pollution, nobody wrote about it. Okay, even here it's lower in the list. Equity. Equity is providing equal chances to everybody. Providing equal chances to everybody. This is equity. Okay, so in many countries it is a feeling. It is a perception that government is spending our money, like the taxpayers' money, the money which is taken from poor, and they are spending it to build facilities for the rich. Okay, it is a perception in Pakistan, very common. Okay, and in even many other countries. Okay, alhamdulillah, in Bahrain we don't feel so much about it, but equity is where the people feel that because I'm lower income, I have to use this mode of transportation, or this particular location or facility is not for me. Okay, like the use of the car and so on. So this is problem of equity. Equity is where people have equal chances to all facilities. People have equal chances to all facilities. So even someone from a lower income group can also use a car by some means, and people from higher income group may also use a bus. It works both ways. People from lower income group may also decide or may also have a chance to use a car by sharing or whatever, and people from higher income group may also decide to use a bus or a public transportation system because it is so good. Okay, implementation of pricing policies. pricing policies. So if you have gone to London or Singapore or some country like this, they use toll, a fee on their roads. Okay, so when you're traveling on the roads, there are certain roads or there are certain areas in which you have to pay a fee or a toll to enter, to cross. Want to see an example? In Bahrain, the only example which I can give is the causeway. Okay, a more common example is the parking fees. Parking fees were very common, right? Very common. So what is the purpose of these fees and parking fees, and what is the purpose? Tell me. Why do we have these tolls and parking fees and so on? Why? What's the purpose? Why should I pay a tax for going on the causeway? Why?
To encourage people to use public transportation.
To encourage people to use public transportation, yes. If you are going by public transport, you don't have to pay the toll or the parking fee. This is good. Okay, this is the main reason. This is the main reason. You use public transportation, so other transportation will be used less, private will be used less traffic on the roads. Okay, the main reason. And then obviously you are getting the money which you can spend on the transportation. Thanks Safa for participating. I did not see that you also wrote some things. Okay, but mainly safety, I can see capacity, which is also related to congestion, and issues with the time, so delay, congestion. Okay, so again the main idea is the same. Okay, and now you can see the most important problem which I've written in bold here. So implementation of pricing policies. When you implement pricing policies, people resist. Why should we pay to go here? Why should we pay to go there? They look for alternatives instead of reducing their travel. Okay, so you see where we have parking fees, in areas where we have parking fees, people may take their car to smaller streets and maybe park farther from their facility instead of choosing some other mode. This is very common, right? You go to some area, there's a parking fee, you search for an area, search for a place which is free. Okay, you don't leave your car. Okay, and obviously the government cannot implement the pricing to a larger scale because people will resist. Okay, if I say the whole area has a parking fee, people will resist. Okay, so but in some countries, like I've already given the example, London and Singapore and these countries, they are implementing pricing policies more aggressively. Okay, so they have already taken hold of their people. Then the last thing is openness of the system, which I've already explained earlier as well. You are designing something which is open to everybody. You're designing something which is open to everybody. Okay, so that's why the problem of equity and congestion and accidents are bigger problems, because you want the facility to be available to everybody, so you cannot ignore any section of the society. So if you are designing a villa, that is for a specific type of resident, and everything will be according to him. By designing a road, everybody will be there. Okay, young, old, male, female, everybody will be there. So you have to keep this thing in your mind. Okay, what are the challenges to policy makers and planners? So when you are doing transportation planning, these are the challenges you have to face. People are depending upon automobile, their private cars. Okay, and it is also related to their location as well. Like I was giving you the example of Karachi, the town which they are building outside the city. So obviously the buses and everything is there, but if you are living outside the city or on the outskirts of the city, the most efficient mode of transport for you will be the car. Okay, the bus is there, but you will not prefer it. will not prefer it. Okay, you will always prefer your car. So people have settled in locations, and the planning of the city is done in such a way that it is encouraging people to use cars. Okay, the other way around, now we have mixed land use planning. So in mixed land use planning, you have a mall near your house, a store near your house, so you can walk to many places. Okay, but the traditional design is separate residential area, separate commercial area, separate industrial area. So obviously I have to go from my area to another area. I'll always prefer my car. Okay, and I have to go out of my area. For doing anything, I have to go out of my area. Okay, so you are encouraging more trips. Evolution of public transportation system, which is capable of serving the entire area. That is another challenge. Buses work very efficiently in crowded areas where population is high. But if you want to again encourage people who are in low population areas, it becomes very difficult, and the bus system becomes infeasible because of the low demand. So people are still working how we can manage the cost of the bus system in high demand as well as low demand areas. Because in low demand areas, you know, number of people are less. So you will arrange few buses from there. So if you arrange few buses from there, who will take it? If a bus is coming after half an hour, who will take it? Nobody. So this is another challenge. The capability and government and its policies to provide transportation system that is equitable for all sections of society, lower income group, high income group, the problem of equity, which I told you earlier. Use of technology and effort to design a more satisfying urban environment for the long run, the environmental problems, using technology to cover or to address the environmental issues. Okay, so technologies are keep on changing, and you have to select them which are more environmentally sustainable. Okay, now we have energy shortages, fuel prices going up and down, and there's so many things which are affecting the fuel prices. You know, there are wars and politics and so many things. Okay, so it's no longer about production of fuel. Okay, so with all these factors, fuel prices are becoming more and more uncertain. You don't know where the fuel price will go, up or down. And the last thing is solving the problems through public and transportation sectors, and looking at the cost implications of different alternatives. Okay, so calculating the cost of transportation projects is not easy. Calculating the cost of transportation projects is not easy. Okay, and then you have to incorporate or involve the private sector as well. In many countries, metro services and many other projects are run and handled by private owners. Okay, I was just doing some research on power plant projects in Bangladesh, and many of the projects are handled by private investors. They will build the project, and then they will. You are in the construction field, right? What do we call that type of contract, where the investor builds something and then he uses it for and he can generate the money from it? Power plant, highways. What do we call that type of contract? Anyone? We have different types of contracts, right? The type of contract where the investor can
investment.
No. The type of contract. There are different types of contracts, right?
FIDIC and the other one.
Sorry.
FIDIC and the other one. I
Yes.
forget.
Yeah, FIDIC is the rules and regulations.
Something.
Like you have turnkey projects and you have traditional contracts. I don't know all the names. It's not my field. But the type of contract where the investor comes, he builds the facility, he runs it, operates it, the money will go in his pocket, from the facility, the money which is earned from his facility, go into his pocket, and then after a few years, he will hand it back to the government. Anyone knows this type of contract? What do we call them? No one? We call it BOOT. Anybody knows the full form? BOOT? No?
No idea, Doctor.
Build, own, operate, transfer. Build, own, operate, transfer. So they are now becoming very common in transportation field and other development projects as well. Okay, in big countries especially. Okay, so we have like you want to build a new causeway, for example. Okay, and you don't want to invest money in it. So what do? You ask investors to come. You ask them, build it yourself. We will give you the land. Build it yourself. Operate it. Any toll or tax you collect from that highway will be yours. So you can recover the construction money from that. Okay, and then you operate it for, let's say, 40 years, 50 years. So you take the money, cover the construction cost, take the profit. Okay, and then you will hand it back to us. Okay, so the contractor, the investor has the profit. You have the facility running for 50 years, and after 50 years, it will come to you, and so on. So this is what we call as build, own, operate, transfer. Okay. Anyways, so how to manage this system with the private investors and how to see the costing, it's very difficult. Okay, transportation and sustainability, you will hear this word a lot. Okay, nowadays it is becoming a very big issue. So now to make the transportation, so we have discussed the problems with the transportation sector, right? Problem of congestion, accident, environmental pollution, and so on and so forth. So if the transportation system keeps on working in the same manner, it is no longer sustainable. It is causing life damages and structural damage and land and occupation of land and so on and so forth. So now people are going towards sustainable transport or linking transportation with sustainability. What is sustainability? To stop the irreversible damage to the ecosystem, damage which cannot be reversed, for example, environmental damage and damage to people and species in that area, to stop it, minimize it, okay, and to achieve the environmental goals by considering the population growth, economic and energy constraints. Okay, we want to make the system sustainable, but at the same time, you have to keep in mind transportation is required for maintaining the economy. Transportation is required to be increased to accommodate the growth in population, and then you have the energy constraints as well. Okay, fuel, the amount of fuel we have is very limited. Okay, so we want to achieve environmental goals, but at the same time you cannot completely ignore the benefits of the transportation system. So in sustainability, you have to stop irreversible damage, but at the same time cater to the needs of the people. Okay. So since 21st century, there has been effort to coordinate communication, information, and transportation into a single system. Okay, for example, intelligent vehicle highway system, IVHS, they're using it in Japan. Okay, so the vehicle communicates with infrastructure, the highways, like the signals and the barriers and so on. Okay, I will come back to it. So on the right hand side, you see we have vehicles. Okay, vehicles make traffic system. For running the traffic system, we need infrastructure. Infrastructure is part of the activity system of that area. How the people will perform the activities depends upon the infrastructure, and the activities are done by people or to transport goods, and this transportation is done through the transportation system. Okay, so this is the whole cycle you need to consider while you are looking at the transportation sector. Vehicles, maintenance of vehicles, okay, then built infrastructure to which is the the structures, the buildings, the shops, the industries, and so on. And these create the activity system. The activity system creates the need to move people and goods. And to move people and goods, we need to provide a good transportation system and go back to the vehicles. Now, ITS, what is ITS? It is a range of technologies, different technologies. It is not one technology. It is a range of technologies which includes in-vehicle components to advanced traffic management systems. In-vehicle components like the seat belts and automatic vehicles, automatic parking system, and advanced traffic management systems like automatic signals and so on. So all these things combinedly are called as ITS, Intelligent Transportation Systems. Intelligent Transportation Systems. Okay, and they have become very, they have been developed a lot in the 21st century. Okay, many of these technologies are in the experimental stage or they have limited application in the real world. They are already applied at some small scale. Many departments of transportation around the world are trying to make their full system fully automized. Okay, so having ITS take control of the entire system. Okay, why there is an urgency, why people are investing more efforts in ITS? Like I told you, because of the increase in traffic and because of the trend of urbanization. More cities, more traffic, so you need to control it. So it has been estimated that if you with the increase in traffic, there are some figures given here. They are losing 2 billion hours a year because of congestion, 20 billions a year, and 40 billion a year to traffic congestion and so on. Okay, so it is expected that once ITS is fully implemented in the system, it will solve the congestion problem considerably. And congestion is what you guys think as the main problem of the transportation system, right? So ITS is expected to be an answer to that. There are different ITS components which are in use. For example, smart traffic signal systems. Okay, they control the signals automatically wherever the traffic is heavy. That side is given more time and vice versa. Freeway management systems. So we have monitors or monitoring systems on the freeway. Wherever there is maintenance activity going on, it will inform the users. If there is an accident, it will inform the authorities and so on. Transit management system, transit meaning public transport, to monitor the movement of public transportation vehicles. It makes them more reliable and you can change their schedules according to the demand. Okay, incident management system, to manage incidents which happen rarely or without any repetition. For example, accidents, lane blockages, material falling on the roads and so on. So you have monitoring system which can indicate this to the authorities and they can come to clear the road, or they can advise the users to take some other route. Electronic toll collection. So this is now in many countries. So they will put a chip, okay, or they will give you a card, and whenever you are passing through a toll plaza, a plaza where you have to pay the fee, you don't have to stop. The sensor will scan your chip, the barcode, and the money will be deducted from your account. Okay, electronic fare payment for the buses. Now we have it in Bahrain as well. You can make a card, a prepaid card, and you can keep on charging it, and it will be used for fare payment of the buses. And in other countries, European countries, I have seen it, they have one card which can be utilized for many things. So you have one card which can be used for buses, paying the parking fee, paying the registration fee, and so on and so forth. So this is part of it. Emergency response. Okay, so you have a traffic control center. Wherever there's an accident or any problem with the road, the message goes to the controlling agency and they will send the ambulance, the fire truck, whatever is required. Travel information system, to inform the users about the situation of the road. So coming to the road is already congested. It will inform you through a message or through a radio broadcast or maybe a a sign, electronic sign on the road, don't go ahead or reduce the speed or take another route and so on. One of my students developed or proposed to develop an app to do this. So you have the app in your phone, you open the phone, I want to go to this place. If there's any construction activity, the app will inform you. If you go by this route, there's a construction activity, it will take you this much time. Go from this alternate route. So they had the alternate route available to them. But this is also being used, it's not utilized. These types of apps are not utilized till now, as far as my information is. Route guidance system, you already know about it, right? GPS in the phone. Now it is very advanced. Okay, so you already know about it. This is also part of ITS. Okay, so this brings to the end of today's lecture. So if you have any questions, any suggestions, any problems, please let me know. Any problems, any suggestion, anything you want to say, you can let me know. Okay, so you have an assignment to be done and you have a term project. Okay, so I thought I will give you the assignment first. Okay, the assignment is related to the last topic, the emerging technologies. Okay, inshallah, I will upload this week the complete guidelines for the term project. Oh, sorry, for the assignment. Okay, and it's a written assignment. There is no calculation in that. Okay, it's like an essay. Essay about the emerging technologies of transportation sector. Essay about the emerging technologies of transportation sector, and I will give you the detailed guidelines on, I will upload it on Blackboard. Okay. Any other questions, any other problems? You want to say something? Go ahead. Queries, suggestions, I will welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, okay. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participation. And see you next week, inshallah. Have a nice week.
Inshallah, see you.
See you. Assalamu alaikum.